Stay on topic, episode 11.5. If you want to submit a topic, you can email us your suggestions at stayontopic111@gmail. You can hit me up on Twitter at Giltastrophe, or you can hit up Bob Ricotta
At Bob Ricotta.
or James Post
at PostJM9.
And now let's do introductions that I just did. A man who never recoils when I try to hold his hand, Bob Ricotta.
How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great. And the Chuck D to my Flava Flav, James Post.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Actually, you're Chuck D and Terminator X over there.
We've already gone off the rails.
Yep. So some really good news this week. Willie Nelson is not dead.
Was there...
There were social media reports that Willie Nelson had died, and they went kind of widespread and had to be put out. The FCC will not punish Stephen Colbert for his really awful joke, so that's good. But this week took a really terrible turn in Manchester when a suicide bomber killed 22 people and injured more than 60. A bunch of people leaving an Ariana Grande concert, and he detonated himself and took those people with him, and it's just another example of just the twisted nature of extremism.
Well, and I'm oversimplifying this, but it came out later in the week that he left a message for his mother before he did this, apologizing to her. And I think it's just a good idea that if you're going to do something where you have to leave a message that your mother will find posthumously apologizing for your actions, maybe just don't do it.
I'll never understand that mindset.
Yeah.
There's no justification for it. The dead ranged from ages 8 years old to middle age. I mean, just
It's
sick.
sickening. That's exactly the word. And our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone affected. And, there's not much more to say about that.
No. Also, some really bad news on the pop culture scene. Zack and Deborah Snyder stepped away from post-production of the Justice League movie in the wake of their 20-year-old daughter's suicide.
Yeah.
Their daughter committed suicide in March, and they had been trying to soldier through getting this very large, very expensive property into the theaters, and they couldn't do it anymore. So Warner Brothers had hired Joss Whedon to help. He was basically the Justice League script doctor. They had called him in, and they had scheduled some secondary shoots for him to do.
Yeah.
It was initially pitched that he just picked up where Zack left off, when in actuality, he had been in the mix the whole time. And Joss Whedon, for people who don't know, made his career as a script doctor before people gave him a chance at his own. In fact, probably the best example of that is Toy Story.
Yeah.
He was originally called in to just, hey, can you help us shepherd this project along? And boom. This was a writer on Roseanne.
Yeah.
And along with Amy Sherman Palladino of Gilmore Girls fame.
Yeah.
Those two were on a writing staff together. Blows my mind. So anyway, it's terrible that I feel so terrible for Zack and Deborah Snyder that they've had to endure this and
this is
try to bring a major blockbuster to the theater.
And this is the second week in a row we're talking about suicide.
Yes. And in fact, 2 suicide topics back to back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just...
Don't we know how to party?
Yeah. That's the world we're living in, fellas.
Don't forget the world lost to James Bond this week.
Yes, it did. Sir Roger Moore. He was how old? 82? I want to say.
Yeah, sounds about right. For better or worse, he was my introduction to James Bond.
Yeah.
Our
me too.
generation, yeah, for sure. Certainly not the best.
No, but serviceable.
So a far cry above, say, a Timothy Dalton.
Don't hate on the Timothy Dalton Bond.
Really?
That was Bond is a straight up killer, more so than Daniel Craig's. Daniel Craig's Bond is more of a bulldog type, but Dalton's
he can
Bond
act.
was a badass.
Daniel Craig can act.
One of these days we have to rank the Bonds.
You know, we're going to talk about that after the show. I think we're going to do some rankings.
And you know, I'll have to submit an incomplete because I've never seen any of the most recent Bonds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Casino Royale is a must.
Yeah.
The other ones, you know, you could probably, especially Spectre, you can totally live without.
Skyfall, I thought, was great.
I thoroughly enjoyed Skyfall. Quantum of Solace got chewed up under the wheels
and
of
it
the
gave me an
writer's
excuse
strike.
to buy an Adele CD.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just leave that right there.
I'm not embarrassed at all. I enjoy Adele.
I'll give her prop. She has got a set of lungs on her that I've never heard before in my life.
Yeah.
She's an amazing vocalist. I just don't need to hear her all the time.
Okay.
And our president left the shores,
Yes, he did.
crossed the pond, and in doing so,
Went somewhere other than someplace he owns.
he created more memes in a week than the internet has created in the previous 5-6 years. That was the whole purpose of the trip, apparently, is to create memes. And he went to Saudi Arabia, and he touched a giant glowing orb,
Yes.
sparked some of the most creative things I've seen on the internet in a while.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with the game Magic the Gathering,
I'm familiar with.
but that photo was turned into a Magic the Gathering card
Really?
called Dark Ritual. Yeah, and
I saw White House reporters suggesting it was a Palantir. So
I saw Saruman superimposed into the photo.
yeah.
That was great. And the worst part, you guys know why the orb existed and what that ceremony was about?
It's actually a globe, right?
Yeah, it was a globe, and it was a symbolic gesture of the world cracking down on terrorism.
Yeah.
Yes.
But God damn it, if it didn't make a better meme than it was fantastic. He then went to Israel, where we got our first real big snafus of the trip, which we were just waiting for, and he did not disappoint.
Israel is such a tough trip for any president.
It's delicate for
You're
for the
walking
best.
a tightrope no matter who you are. And this president not a circus acrobat.
No. It's a circus for sure.
Perhaps we should have elected a circus acrobat.
I don't know. I don't think it'd be this much fun. So he initially, when he arrived in Israel, he told the assembled press that he had just left the Middle East to come to Israel.
Yes.
Yes.
Who
knew?
Redefining geography.
That's how Trump rolls. And then he told the same assembled press that he never mentioned Israel to the Russians.
Pretty much confirming it was an Israeli asset that he outed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that hadn't been confirmed by anyone yet.
And the thing is, the press, they were leaving the room. He called them back into the room to do this.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was in the middle of a question from the press. It's like getting caught in a lie and, you know, getting out of it and then giving away too much, saying too much.
Right.
Which
That was a great metaphor, Bob.
I think it was a simile. I think I had a like in there.
Okay. You're correct.
But
well, Benjamin,
Hashtag corrections.
Benjamin Netanyahu at least remained stoic and, even managed a smile here and there. Pope Francis did not. That was his next trip to the Vatican, and that produced the best stuff on the internet.
If the phrase "resting Pope face" isn't added to the dictionary next year, there is no justice in the world.
It's got to be in the Urban Dictionary by now.
Absolutely. I mean, resting bitch face is a thing. Why not resting Pope face?
Yeah, after this trip, it's got to be a thing.
And what was with Ivanka and Melania's outfits?
I don't know if that's traditional Vatican garb or what. Why they look like they were 90s goth kids.
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the Vatican to.
It's just to jump back a step though. I did want to, there was a lot of questions when this trip started about Melania's dress as in her what she was wearing, not a specific dress, and whether it was appropriate for her to be wearing that in the Middle East. And I think some of the press sort of caught up to that later and pointed out that that's been when first ladies or, Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State have gone to that region. They don't wear headscarves. They don't, that's just not expected of American state visitors.
Yeah, specifically the left-wing press really pounced. And I was like, God, Western women in power don't do that.
Yeah.
They just don't. So yeah, the trip to the Vatican also gave us the Melania hand slap.
Yes.
And the next time that they exited Air Force One to land in Brussels, the president went to hold his wife's hand and she quickly pulled her hand up to fix her hair. This woman straight up hates her husband. I'm convinced that the Russian investigation will not bring Trump down. His tax returns, if they ever get released, will not bring him down. It will be his heart or his wife that ultimately does him in.
See, I'm thinking it'd be like 2 feet lower.
No, it's, you never know. The next time he is on camera and goes to try and hold her hand, she may just body slam him.
Ooh.
Brilliant segue. Hey, the dog's barking.
Who let the dogs out?
Who? I asked who. Edit that part out. So Greg Gianforte, the GOP nominee for the Montana congressional seat, and you heard that correctly, the Montana congressional seat.
Yes. It's an at-large seat, just like Vermont.
The night prior to the election, body slammed Ben Jacobs, who was there reporting for The Guardian, after Jacobs was asking him about the healthcare bill and the tax plan and the budget. Now, the quirky thing about this story, if it wasn't quirky enough that a candidate for the U.S. Congress slammed a reporter to the ground and punched him, this was broken by Fox News.
Yeah.
And a Fox affiliate actually confirmed that Gianforte was the aggressor.
Yeah.
And have you heard the audio tape from Jacobs?
Yeah.
I unironically love the fact that he narrates what's happening. Like he says, for the record, you just body slammed me. Like, he's still reporting.
That's professionalism.
That's just smart.
Because he knows there's
so
no
many
video.
levels. Yeah. Well, it was a thank you to campaign volunteers. It was a barbecue.
Yeah.
And why you let reporters into that in the first place is beyond me.
I'm not going to argue against transparency on things like that, but
no, but yeah,
but yeah, there was really no reason for him to do so.
No. So Gianforte won the seat by 6 points over Democratic challenger Rob Quist
after being charged with assault.
Now, something to keep in mind is that by the time the alleged, no, I guess not, is it still alleged assault?
He apologized for it.
All right.
and he's been
That's-
charged.
So by the time-
It's alleged until he's convicted.
All right. By the time the alleged assault happened, 73% of the 200,000 absentee ballots had already been sent in.
Yeah.
So a lot of people voted before this happened.
200,000 absentee ballots
Correct.
in Montana.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would have guessed that as roughly the total population of Montana.
You know, I would imagine that a lot of people are eager to leave Montana. And my apologies.
I'm sure it's beautiful there.
Sure. It's big sky country.
Exactly.
Not a lot of people country, but big sky.
Yeah.
But so a lot of people voted before this happened. I think this election, like the other special elections before it, was a Rorschach test for people. If you are a liberal or a Democrat, you're saying that Gianforte won by 6%, a state that Donald Trump carried by 20%. If you're a Republican, you're saying our guy won despite committing a crime. So
I'm not sure a Republican is saying that in quite that manner, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
okay, so it depends. You can take whatever you want from this.
If you're a Republican, you're probably saying our guy won and that reporter got what he deserved.
Yeah, maybe. And something that we should touch on, at least as one current member of the media and two former members of the media. I don't know where the approval ratings are compared to congressmen, but it just shows you how low of an opinion people have of the media, that you can assault a member of the media and still get elected to Congress.
Everyone loves me.
Yeah, I've never had a problem, and I've had to do some contentious or ask some pretty aggressive questions before.
Yeah.
I've never had a problem with anybody.
Oh, I have.
Really?
Yes.
Can you divulge?
Sure. And this will mean nothing to anybody, but we were covering a contentious merger of two school districts.
Oh, yes.
And I had my life threatened. I didn't take that threat seriously, and I did have a knife in my pocket, and I was rolling with 3 or 4 other people, so I really wasn't nervous. But yeah, people blame the media when they don't like the truth.
Yeah, they kill the messenger.
Right. But the media is not well thought of in this country right now.
No.
And that is a problem. That is a problem because I would like to believe that 20 years ago, if a candidate body slammed a reporter, that would be the death knell. That would be the end of that candidacy, no matter if it was the day before the election.
In
But-
2012, binders full of women got Mitt Romney sacked.
Yeah.
I mean, just a misspeak got him sacked. George H.W. looking at his watch got him sacked. And now you can literally physically assault a reporter, and it's cool. You're still going to win the election.
And I don't want to make light of this. A serious crime has occurred. There obviously an election that affects the lives of many people, but I would like to see some proof of the reporter's knowledge of professional wrestling.
Yeah, I don't think because in our minds, when you say body slam, that means he got him up in the air,
Scoop one arm under his crotch, and boom onto the canvas.
Not over the head. That's a power slam.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, just a straight up body slam
And not a cross body block, which is a whole different thing.
or a suplex. Yeah, we had that didn't go over nearly as well on the podcast as it did in our group text the other day.
No, but
I still think that the people that find us the funniest are ourselves.
Yes.
but I'm just saying body slam is a specific term and it should be used correctly.
Yeah, totally agree. But Gianforte also punched this guy, Ben Jacobs, after he slammed him to the ground.
Yeah.
That's such a chicken shit move.
Yes.
That's a cheap shot. I mean, and nobody in the room stood up for the guy, which is a little bit of a concern. as well.
The ref didn't step in.
Nothing.
His tag team partner didn't come running into the ring.
The ref was being distracted by his tag team partner.
Okay. Now we're making light of this.
But I would caution my Democratic brethren who want to make hay out of this, that this was not a referendum on the American Health Care Act. In fact, Gianforte distanced himself from the American Health Care Act. He said that he would not vote for it. Well, no, I'm sorry. Campaign officials said he would not have voted for it. He said it was half-baked. He said that the numbers weren't crunched properly. The math wasn't done enough for him to have voted for it. So anybody saying that this is a referendum on Trump care is mistaken. And anybody who says that this is a referendum on 2018 and how the Democrats are going to take back Congress, may be wishful thinking, because
everything that's going to happen between now and, the next referendum on how all of the races in 2018 are going to turn out is going to be the Georgia 6 runoff.
Right.
And whatever people can draw on to start looking forward, because that's the next race.
That's how it's done in politics.
Yeah.
But I would say the Georgia 6 has much more predictive qualities than this race.
Yeah. It's a more useful metric, I think.
Yes. This race.
That's the 20th.
Yeah, that's coming up. This race was definitely the definition of politics being local.
Yeah.
Quist was tagged with gun restrictions. He said he may favor some kind of registry.
And he still only lost by 6.
Right.
Not bad.
Well, there was a libertarian in the race that pulled 5.7%. Mark Wicks. I can't read my own writing. I'm half drunk. There was a libertarian in the race who pulled 5%.
And we're going to assume that a libertarian is pulling mostly from the Republican side, wouldn't you think?
Especially a libertarian in Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe at one point, and this, once again, half drunk, but I believe that Quist.
We're not really supposed to announce that to the listeners that often.
They should pretty much just assume at this point.
Yeah, they can hear the ice.
I believe Quist was rumored to have had herpes.
Is this a real thing, or is this the lemur talking?
No.
Okay.
He's a banjo-playing folk singer who's never run for public office, and there was a rumor running around that he had herpes.
Who doesn't?
The rumors of superchlamydia had not been confirmed at this point.
So I wonder where Gianforte came down on the budget, or the proposed budget. Because
it was a slam dunk.
wrong
Sport. I'm sorry.
That's.
But yeah, that would be telling to see how closely he pays attention to things.
And this budget, I mean, it's fundamentally, it's not a budget. I mean, whatever you think of the proposals that are in it, the fact that the basic accounting that went into writing the budget was $2 trillion off, according to reporting.
That's not a rounding error.
That is not. That is the White House deciding that they were going to take the $2 trillion in growth that they assume will happen as a result of tax cuts and use it once to pay for the tax cuts and again to offset other spending.
That's Jason Furman, who is a former chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors under Barack Obama, said even if you accept the tax cut will unleash all this growth, the budget somehow forgot to include the cost of the tax cut that is producing all of that growth.
Yeah.
It's basic home economics.
Yeah, and that's, my wife works in accounting, and I actually asked her about this. I said, is this the kind of error that, a beginning accounting student would make to not balance that way. And she said, no, it's not an accounting error. You know, you've got revenue on one side, you've got expenses on the other side. You're adding twice. It's a math error. It has nothing to do with accounting.
Yeah, and just that they would just put it out there and be proud of it.
Yeah. And that Mick Mulvaney, head of the White House Office of Management and Budget, his response was, and I don't have the quote in front of me, but I think I can get pretty close. He said that they could have assumed that the budget would increase the deficit. They could have assumed that the budget would be deficit neutral, or they could assume that the budget would decrease the deficit. And they decided to take the middle ground and assume that it was deficit neutral. That does not explain the math in any way. It sounds like he's just outlining his thinking on how they were going to explain the budget more than anything else.
Yeah, that's just a dog chasing a car. Just doesn't know what he's going to do when he catches it.
The guy's name's Mick. What do you want?
Ooh, is that racist?
Yeah, that was totally racist. And you're in an Irish home, sir.
Studio.
Irish studio.
I really didn't mean it that way. I just meant people named Mick are stupid.
Oh, so the tables have turned here and stay on topic.
It looks like I'm the only non-racist one. So, do you guys mind circling back to the foreign trip? Because
not at all.
So, some interesting things came out of the trip, like the Pope giving Donald Trump an encyclical. Let me get this. The encyclical was called Laudate Si, and my Italian is a little rusty, but I believe that means Laudati yes.
I believe that's incorrect.
Okay.
But I expect your Italian to be better.
I'm sorry. I'm half Irish. I'm half Mick. It was an encyclical exhorting the world to take action against global climate change.
Yeah.
Which was a significant gift. And the Pope wasn't the only person to ding Donald Trump.
So the entire summit that he had today.
Yeah, the NATO summit. Angela Merkel does not like Donald Trump. I think we can safely say that. In her speech to NATO, she said, "It's not walls that will be successful, but open societies that are built on common values." This is not the only time that walls were brought up during this event. The event was held at the new NATO headquarters, where two fragments of the Berlin Wall made up a monument. Angela Merkel also invited President Obama on the same day to speak to German youth leaders. And in his speech, former President Obama said, "In this new world we live in, we can't isolate ourselves. We can't hide behind walls." So,
in a big photo op with Merkel, on the eve of this meeting, just, man, what a
body slam.
Yeah, I lost the word, but yeah, what a fuck you to Trump.
Yeah,
that's all. It was a giant middle finger right at him.
But Trump fought back.
As only Trump can.
He kind of manhandled the president, prime minister, king of Montenegro.
Yeah.
Montenegro has a king, right?
And then
I think he's emperor.
Just adjusted his suit jacket.
Yeah. Just oozing class.
Just another great internet moment from that trip.
So how do we rank this trip? Like, did he do well?
He
was less disastrous than I might have expected.
Okay, gentlemen, C.
Maybe.
That's not bad. I mean, I expected to be in a bunker by now.
Yeah.
And we're merely embarrassed.
That was really
You get over that.
that was the best we could hope for out of
Yeah.
this trip, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been embarrassed.
Just being embarrassed.
So on a curve, is that an A?
Solid B.
I'm gonna bump it up to a B plus because of the memes.
Okay.
Whatever long-term damage
He
may have
generated
happened,
some cultural value.
My God, he lit up the internet like no one else before him, and God bless him for that. But we also had the CBO score come back.
Yeah, and it ended up basically not that different from the CBO score on the original.
Nope.
On the original bill. So in a way, the breathless anticipation of that was sort of for naught. I have to admit, I have not read the CBO's top sheet explanation, which I did on the original bill, for how they drew the conclusions they did. So I don't know how they accounted for things like allowing states to opt out of minimum coverage requirements. But bottom line is, deficit savings went from 150 to 133.
119 relieved the deficit by 119 billion.
Yeah,
which is good news for Republicans because that means they don't have to vote on it again.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And,
it can now go to the Senate, which it hasn't done yet.
No, because Ryan held it back.
I suppose it's possible it got sent over at some point today, but I doubt it, and probably won't be until next week or whatever. But no, and 1 million people, 1 million fewer people will lose their health care, according to the CBO
From
score.
24 to 23 million.
If you're one of those 1 million, congratulations.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah, but not if you're pregnant or a drug addict or have mental health issues, because those are some of the things that the waiver would not, like, states would have the opportunity to opt out of covering those things.
Yeah. Well, they would have the opportunity to opt out of forcing insurance companies to cover those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a fine distinction, but it's a real one.
And the CBO...
The insurance companies could still sell really great insurance if they want to. They could also sell crap in states that allow it.
Right. And the CBO, the estimates, the people who would take the crap insurance were not counted as people who would be insured. They're in the 23 million number.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So you read more than I did on that. Okay.
But I mean, we've talked about this before. It doesn't matter because the Senate is going to write their own bill.
Exactly.
And some progress, I think. Originally, the people who were going to be writing that bill were white men, but Joni Ernst has been invited to the party, and she will be helping craft that bill. She is a senator from Iowa, famous for castrating pigs.
Yes, I remember.
But it's good that a woman is in the room at least.
So she can be in the next Mission Accomplished photo op.
She can bring them coffee.
Oh, Andy's sexist too.
I'm saying that's the environment there.
Yeah. But
I'm just not going to talk anymore. You guys have fun.
oh, please, you got to talk. You're the smart one. We're just the pretty ones.
As far as anyone listening knows.
We're the eye candy.
The ear candy.
Well, the people at Rock Bottom.
No one listening has seen my blue blazer with elbow pads.
It's very sharp.
You look like a history professor.
That's exactly what I was going for.
We'll post something on Facebook.
You need a pipe. I need a pipe. Right
There
now.
exists
Oh,
a
God.
possibility I may at some point appear on television
Really?
in that blazer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But I can't go any further than that.
No, you signed a non-disclosure.
Yeah.
More ironclad than the prenup Melania signed.
Despite the typos in the non-disclosure that I actually pointed out to the person from the legal department.
Don't drown it this time.
So you want to get into the evergreen topic? The topic
Oh
that-
yeah, baby. This
the
is
story
the main
that
event.
keeps on giving.
I love this story like nothing else.
Trump and Russia.
Yes.
So we'll start off with the stupid side. And this is came out midweek that U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, former senator, who's already had to recuse himself from the most important investigation his office will ever be involved in, apparently doesn't know that when applying for a security clearance, it's important to tell people that you've had meetings with Russian officials. So this news came out that in filling out a standard form, it was actually the SF-86 form to get his clearance in order to become Attorney General, he left out a number of meetings with all of our favorite Sergei, Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak.
The Sergei Show.
And in explaining, after this came out in the news, and explaining the omission, he said that the FBI official who was helping him fill out the application told him he didn't necessarily have to know every meeting that he'd had with any foreign official in the course of his ordinary duties as a U.S. Senator. Seems like the meetings with the Russians would stand out,
especially
as maybe something you should know.
Kislyak, because he is linked to so many, like he's not just the ambassador to the U.S. He is linked to what's basically the old
KGB.
Thank you. He is part of the new KGB.
Yeah.
And he's masquerading as an ambassador. And everybody in Washington knows that. Anybody who's ever even thought his name gets put on a watch list.
Yeah.
So for the Attorney General to just forget he's had not one, but multiple meetings with the guy, that it defies explanation.
So, and more to go on Trump and Russia. But just quickly, because I like to write down questions. Does this have any lasting repercussions? And does Sessions himself end up getting dragged into this investigation?
I don't see how he couldn't.
Because Republicans control both houses of Congress.
Well, if you want to get into details. But
Robert Mueller.
Yeah. There's a special counsel, right?
Yes. Robert Mueller can dig for whatever he wants.
Even if Sessions
and the AG is not above that.
Even if he never has to speak on record about this, there's something bigger that happened just today.
Yes.
Today is Friday, the 26th of May.
Yes. And just 7:00 Eastern time today, the Washington Post.
That's how topical we are.
Yes.
We are on topic of things.
Wow.
Yeah. I know.
The Washington Post reported on their website that Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, spoke to the Russians and requested a direct, secure channel for the Trump transition team to communicate with the Kremlin.
He wanted a bat phone.
Yes.
Who doesn't?
And Washington Post citing, quote, U.S. officials briefed on intelligence reports as the source of this information. So this, again, goes back to Sergei Kislyak. This is apparently intercepted communications between the Russian officials in the U.S. and Russia, where he reported just after this proposal back to his superiors in Moscow that Kushner had made this proposal during a meeting December either 1st or 2nd at Trump Tower. And just to add a bit of flair to this event, Michael Flynn was also at that meeting.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. Yeah, that is going to be the one that ultimately undoes everything if anything gets undone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's if true, that's ugly.
Yeah.
Someone give this guy immunity. Let him sing.
And that's coming just after it had been widely rumored, but was finally confirmed by multiple news outlets that Kushner is a person of interest to investigators in this investigation.
Yeah, that had been kind of building all week.
Yeah.
And layer by layer kept getting laid. But man, tonight's revelation was big.
And it's, still not clear. And we should be clear on this point, which is that it was pointed out by those that confirmed that he was a person of interest that does not necessarily mean he is himself under investigation. It means he's someone they want to talk to.
Right.
But it's not clear, because of the way this came out, whether the reason that he is a person of interest is because of, I just said the reason is because, I'm so sorry. Whether the reason that he's a person of interest is this conversation with Kislyak about a direct line to the Kremlin, or something else entirely.
Yeah, that.
Or if this is just a new thing that everyone's finding out together.
I don't know. I have to believe that U.S. intelligence officials knew this long before the Washington Post broke the news.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So, yeah, I mean, if he's a person of interest, it's probably because he tried to set up a bat phone between here and Moscow.
Yeah, but it seems like they wouldn't be pushing so hard on that he's not under investigation, especially when they're already speaking anonymously, if that was the reason.
Then they have the goods on Flynn, and they're going to use Kushner to apply more pressure to Flynn.
Yeah. But, if this all comes together and it's all just, Michael Flynn goes down, I think it's a failure on everyone's part.
So if there's one thing in Donald Trump's favor right now, it's the Friday before Memorial Day. It's the ultimate take out the trash day.
Yeah.
That's true.
Who's paying attention to the news?
It's 7:00 on that Friday.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is going to last a full news cycle, but who's going to, will they still be talking about this on the Sunday shows? Will anyone be watching the Sunday shows on Sunday or Memorial weekend?
I think,
because it's the Grand Prix of Monaco Sunday morning. But.
Oh, my gosh. I think at this point...
There's a Grand Prix of Monaco. Is that what the leader of Montenegro is called too? Is he the Grand Prix of Montenegro?
Yes, and he got shoved out of the way.
He's the Grand Poobah.
Okay.
The Grand Poobah.
I think that the general public, the non-news junkies, have said, okay, Trump Russia is a thing. Call me when it's over.
Yeah, they have Trump Russia fatigue.
They don't need to follow the steps. They don't need to see where all the lines go, and they don't need to see that big picture on the wall with the yarn connecting everybody. They just want the final product. They're not following every development at this point.
But that could be a year out.
Sure.
It's the same kind of fatigue we had with Clinton Lewinsky. That thing was dragged out for so long. You just got so tired of it because nothing new ever really came about until...
But that was an understandable story. A guy
I certainly
shot his load
it.
on a blue dress.
Who hasn't been there? Well, okay. The dress was purple.
They were gauchos, but...
Wow.
Not rompers?
Ooh, James Bond wore rompers. Did you see the meme on that?
Yeah.
I have no idea what either of you two are talking about. I've left the room at this point.
Do you really have no idea?
I really don't.
Okay,
No. No.
Ignorance is truly bliss.
It is.
In this case, so much so. So, yeah, basically, nothing's really going to get done this next, week and a half. There's another break.
Yes.
And
oh, thank God.
This break.
Oh, that's right. So the Senate's not going to see that bill for 2 weeks.
So I've read chatter online how this break is a chance for Republican senators to go back to their states and listen to their constituents, more than likely their donors.
Yeah.
And see where they're at with, this full-throated support of Trump. If the constituents, donors, aren't down with it, you can expect to see some people starting to defect from the Republican side of the aisle in the Senate.
Yeah.
That's when they get back in session, I think it could be really interesting to see if or how the narrative changes.
I both love and appreciate your cynicism on the donor issue. It seems like those people could have made a phone call at any time while they were in Washington.
And let's not
I think the only reason to go home and wait for that response is to hear from people in the district.
Isn't that something you just tell an aide to take care of while you're in DC? It's like, hey, I'm going to be on break. I'll talk to that constituent donor when I get back.
Let's not forget that the donor class hated Trump from the beginning. It's the grassroots.
The donor class was fully behind Bush.
Yeah,
Bush got all the monies.
Yeah.
In the primer. I mean, just all
I had no idea what to do with it.
No, not so much.
So I don't know that the senators on recess are listening to the donor class. They're listening to the town halls.
That's my take too, I think.
Yeah. It's
nice you guys have that spirit still.
Well,
it's been beaten right out of me.
It's not without evidence. I mean, Trump was elected by the grassroots. He was elected by the Joe the Plumbers.
Oh God.
Yeah, remember him?
Yep.
The donor class was as flummoxed by Trump as we were. It's whether regular voters have started to abandon him. And so far, the evidence is kind of mixed.
Yeah.
So this is probably not the best measure of anything, but I did want to bring it up briefly, if only because it struck me as odd. Monday night, I was at a political gathering, an event that was held in a neighboring town here, called Political Pundit Night, where a local television commentator, he's done 3 of these now. He brought together politicians and political consultants and personalities from both sides of the aisle on a podium in a large auditorium.
Okay.
And invited people there. And basically the theme of this was, how is Trump doing after 100 days? And, he asked all the people on the panel, and most of them answered more or less how you would expect them to answer based on their affiliation, which was literally where they were seated on the side of the stage.
Left and right?
Yeah. The audience here in the largely politically conservative southern tier of New York, an audience that was probably an average age well over 60.
Really?
At least 80% anti-Trump based on reactions to statements.
Yeah, I mean, presidential wise, we always vote Democrat around here.
We live in a red district in a blue state. We live in a blue city in a red district in a blue state.
Yeah.
Corning, New York tends to vote blue, but you drive 5 miles outside of Corning and you might as well be in Montana.
Right. Yeah, because people are just body slamming the shit out of each other in Caton.
Especially their cousins. I can say that because they don't have computers in Caton.
Wow.
But that's very interesting that the crowd was so anti-Trump.
And just like I said, from this area and also older. So both things that would seem to select for more conservative.
Right.
And yet out of, 150, 160 people there were maybe 20, 25 people who were loudly booing the scathing indictments of Trump that were coming from some people on stage. Everyone else was cheering.
I still maintain that one good jobs bill, one good infrastructure bill, and Trump can put most of this behind him until the final Russia shoe falls.
Yeah, and we've said that was one of the first topics of this podcast back in March, late February, early March, was, man, you pass a real jobs bill, you're gold. And they still haven't got around to doing it.
Haven't even talked seriously about it.
No.
Nope, nothing.
No, they put everything before. I mean, Obama or healthcare, they've put tax cuts. They put everything before infrastructure.
Everything for the base, nothing for anybody else.
Right.
It's
perplexing.
It's galactically stupid. Sorkin, reference number 1.
Yeah. Came in a little late.
Yeah, later than usual for us, but I was glad I got the first one out.
Congratulations.
All right, I'm going to pat myself on the back. So, what'd you guys do fun last week? Anything? James just talked about something really cool he was involved with. What about you, Bob?
Well, I've got 2 pop culture bones to pick with you, Chris.
Go on.
All right.
Why is my mic not working?
Are you unplugged from the bottom there?
There we go.
We go.
I plugged my bottom back in. Now I'm ready to go.
All right. I love a good plug in my bottom. So, number 1, you recommended The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Yes.
I am 4 episodes in, and I find it underwhelming.
Oh, dear.
Ellie Kemper is as adorable as ever.
Right?
But it doesn't have the bite that it needs to. If you're going to be cute, you need to have some bite. You need to have some teeth, and it doesn't have the teeth.
That's the beauty of the show.
It's just pure.
It was written for NBC because NBC, after 30 Rock went off the air, NBC, begged Tina Fey for something else.
Right.
So her and Robert Carlock devised The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and they were like, we're not digging this.
No.
So she sold it to Netflix, who were like, yes, we want Tina Fey content. And that's why season 1 is a little
saccharine.
Yeah, it just kind of gums you. There's no bite.
Okay. All right. And I'm not going to judge a show by 6 episodes. If I had done that, I would not have gotten to Once More with Feeling in season 5 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is I'm contend.
Season 6.
Thank you. I contend it's the best hour of television ever to be aired. So I will give Kimmy Schmidt another chance. I will watch all of season 1 and probably go into season 2, but so far underwhelming.
The beauty of the series is they never deviated from that model. Like, it was written for network television. You can even look. Every episode in season 1 is 22 minutes.
Yep.
And it feels networky. And they stick with that model throughout the series and almost poke fun at themselves for it. And it's pretty great.
Okay. All right. As I said, I'll give it a chance.
Okay.
Bone number 2. I said bone.
Bone and plug.
I am 7 episodes in. I don't hate Iron Fist.
Really? Is this upside down world? You don't like Kimmy Schmidt, but you like Iron Fist?
I don't hate it. Granted, it is the weakest of the 4 Marvel Knights properties.
Yeah, okay.
But it's not bad.
Okay, so you're just happy to have a show about Iron Fist.
I'm happy to have people doing kung fu.
But poor kung fu.
Yes. The fight choreography is weak.
And edited to hell.
And, after seeing Daredevil,
yeah,
the fights are weak, but the story's not bad.
It's okay. It gets more tedious.
Okay.
So,
all right. Is it suffer from those? It's 14 episodes. It should be 10.
They all do.
Yeah.
All those Marvel shows suffer from that.
But I don't hate it. James, have you?
I only got to about episode 5, and then I sort of got sidetracked. I wasn't hating it. I was starting to feel fatigue that it didn't seem to be going anywhere dramatically. It felt like we were still dragging out the same conflicts.
Okay.
And I didn't have the great fight scenes to distract me from that. And so I kind of trailed off.
The thing I appreciate about it is it gives some kind of substance to the hand as a
Right,
threat,
yeah.
which Daredevil never did.
Yeah, and I think there's something to that. When you see what's his name? See, it's been so long since I started watching it, I don't remember the names anymore. But the guy who's supposed to be dead, who's actually just holed up.
Danny Rand?
No.
Oh no, the
the
Wendell,
father, yeah.
Wendell, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
When you see the amount of fear he has of the hand, it does help flesh that out. And the way that they're able to just sort of, show up behind him in a sealed apartment that you have to use a handprint to get into.
Right.
And he turns around and they're standing there.
I think it's an apt metaphor that this show is a solid hand job.
Wow.
Ricotta is on fire tonight.
At least part of me is. It's the super chlamydia.
No one gets that reference except the three of us. It would have been so funny if you had been in our group text. Maybe we should have all of our listeners in a group text. How many can there be?
5.
Yeah, there are a couple apps for that.
Huh?
Yeah.
Hey,
Twitter.
we
Facebook.
could, if we had a camera in here, we could do a YouTube live stream.
Oh God.
Oh God, nobody wants
I'd
to
have
see
to wear
that.
pants.
We could exchange chat with people watching, and
Nobody
We're-
wants to see.
which would be Andrew.
Raul the Lemur is nowhere near prepared for that.
Yeah.
So I saw an article on AV Club that said Persona 5 is way too long.
Oh no, don't get no.
Yeah, I had to.
I haven't. I had a game related thing I was going to get into. I haven't even gotten there.
Okay.
I've had such bad game ADD. I have actual ADD that's actually pretty severe and uncontrolled.
James stops talking and leaves the room.
Yes. So I have both Persona 5 and Yakuza 0. Both games that I desperately wanted to play that were fairly new. Both that I played about the first 5 hours of and then got sidetracked. So I couldn't tell you whether Persona 5 is too long because I haven't played that much.
You didn't get bored with them. You just something else grabbed your attention.
Yes.
So you're willing to go back to both of them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And Chris, what'd you do this week?
Well, I was turned on to this thing called the WOMP. WHOMP. No, I'm not going there, Bob.
All right.
It's the WHOMP. WHOMP. It's basically
Will Wheaton.
Cool Whip.
It's basically this roundup of business news and financial oddities in a newsletter format, produced daily. And I've taken to follow him on Twitter and just link from there. But it's a really cool new thing. It's only been out like a month. And it's a lot of fun. Like, it's just this daily dose of little factoids and fun little business notes.
Yeah.
So that was probably the newest thing. Otherwise, I've just been doing the same old. I'm getting through Kimmy Schmidt and Master of None. I'm through season 1 of Master of None.
Okay, what'd you think?
I really enjoy it. I
So-
don't want to repeat what we kind of touched on last week, but yeah, I don't think it's groundbreaking. It's just a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. Oh, and the girlfriend, adorable.
Oh, so adorable. Not Ellie Kemp adorable,
No, but
adorable
adorable.
nonetheless.
Noelle something or other.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really cool. And also, you guys are both PS4 owners.
Correct.
Yes.
I'm a PS4 owner. Marvel Heroes Omega PS4 beta is up and running.
Go on.
It's basically a Marvel MMO.
Go on.
It is
What pay model?
it is freemium.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, you'll download it for free, But if you want,
If you want to play Deadpool or Wolverine or
anybody good.
Do I have to play Speedball? Is that the level of
Hey,
free?
he's Penance now.
Okay.
I was going to say, I'd be happy to play Penance.
Yeah, it was developed by, Gazillion, which I thought was odd because Square Enix is going to make a huge announcement at E3 about what they're going to do with their Marvel titles.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for E3. I always look forward to E3. This year, I'm really looking forward to it because there's a lot of things in my sandbox. The kinds of games that I like are going to be front and center. Where usually they're first-person shooters or indie titles that I don't give a shit about.
So, do you know, is there going to be PvP in this Marvel MMO?
I cannot tell you that.
Because I'm looking forward to the Speedball versus Nitro PvP.
Only the super nerdiest listeners will get that. Speaking of super nerdy listeners, we had some feedback on Facebook that we want to get to, so people know that we actually take in everything that you send us, which isn't overwhelming at all. So we call him Lord Buffington, and that's how he will henceforth be known on this podcast. Opined that U2 is a more overblown band than Nirvana.
I would agree with that.
I'm going to have to agree with your response to him.
Which was?
My Twitter response was, if Cobain had lived, Nirvana would be playing state fairs. U2 still sells out arenas.
And the one thing in U2's favor is their self-awareness. They are aware that they're over. That's what the whole Zoo
TV.
Yeah. They were kind of poking fun at themselves and their own overblownness. And then the songs of innocence and songs of something or other, they were kind of getting back to their roots. It's pure speculation on where Nirvana was headed before Kurt Cobain blew his brains out. A third suicide of this podcast.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Nirvana was groundbreaking.
How?
Nirvana was groundbreaking in that they made
It was punk rock for sad kids. That's all it was.
But they were late to the grunge party. It was, long before Nirvana was on the radio. I had friends in school who had bootleg tapes from Seattle of bands who were doing that in 88, 89.
Pixies.
Yeah.
It's punk rock for sad kids.
It was the first one to break through into popular culture.
Okay, so maybe that was their groundbreakingness.
Yes,
their ability to break through. They caught lightning in a bottle. They were at the right place at the right time.
I'll give you that.
Okay.
Still, not even the best band from Seattle.
No, Alice in Chains?
No. And I'm including Jimi Hendrix in the experience in this. Queensrÿche.
Wow.
Fuck you. Queensrÿche is the best band from Seattle.
I saw Queensrÿche in concert.
As did I. On the Operation Mindcrime tour.
Me too.
Did you walk out, Bob?
No.
Oh,
No.
I was...
They opened up for Kiss and they surpassed Kiss.
Yes.
They were awesome.
The Mindcrime tour was...
Operation Mindcrime
mind-blowing.
is a piece of art.
It is. It's the best concept album ever made.
But I don't know if they're the best band from Seattle.
You know what?
You can't.
No, I can and I did.
Gil, I want all of your Rush CDs.
Who owns CDs?
I do. The internet's going to fail someday.
I have like an 80 gig iPod with all my stuff.
I'm going to break it. You're no longer allowed to listen to Rush.
Why? What do you have against Rush?
They're not from Seattle.
No, but you just said that something other than 2112 was the best concept album of all time.
Yeah, 2112 is okay. It's no Mindcrime. The Wall, garbage. The Wall has some really cool songs. As a concept album, it's shit.
It's
Tommy
it's the
has
original.
some really cool songs.
The wall
As a concept album, it's silly.
You're just being provocative now.
No. No. I'm talking
I
as
think we
a-
should move on.
Okay. Our other
We're losing listeners, and we don't have that many.
I'm stopped listening, honestly.
I just unsubscribed.
Our other really nerdy listener, Eric Hoffman, who is a Navy man and a semi-pro wrestler.
What?
Yes. I'll show you the pics on Facebook. He actually looks pretty intimidating. Points out that the last Infinity Gem belongs in Heimdall's armor.
And the gem on Vision's forehead is the Mind Gem.
Mind
Mind
Stone.
Stone, and not the Soul Stone.
Yeah, we screwed that one up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was he cites Thor: The Dark World, and I don't remember that reference at all.
We'll have to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying that much attention during that movie. Can I get back to the one video game I actually did get a chance to play last week?
Of course.
Absolutely.
So I picked up on PC because I'm cheap. I buy my games on PC most of the time because they go on sale on PC.
For our listeners, James has the largest pile of shame of games unplayed on his PC, probably in North America.
I have 465 games on my Steam account.
And how many of those have you actually played?
Maybe 100, 120
Okay.
that I've
That's not
actually
bad.
started, actually
Right.
hit the button to play. But I picked up one because it was $7 and I'm a few years behind, but admittedly it looks better on PC. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Huh. I did not take you for a Metal Gear head.
I wasn't sure if this would be a game you were aware of. It's Platinum.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It is a Metal Gear game with all of the trappings that go with it story-wise, but it's a full-on action game with action combat designed by Platinum Games, including the ability to stop time and freely swing your sword and cut people to ribbons.
Man, that's been a really big trend in games in the last 5-6 years, is this time stopping or time slowing thing.
Yeah, and in this case, it's not really, it's more a matter of, it's almost a UI thing more than it's a power.
Okay.
It would be impossible to do without time stopping from the player's perspective.
Gotcha.
But no, it's a great combat system. Batshit insane story. Metal Gear.
As one would expect.
This is a game where you fight your way through many giant robots. You fight a Metal Gear in the tutorial mission, basically.
Oh my God.
As Raiden, as just the one main character, the guy nobody liked from Metal Gear Solid 2. And you fight your way through all of these incredibly beefed up, high-powered military cyborgs. And then the final boss is a United States Senator who happens to have had his skin
Chuck
implanted.
Schumer?
No.
Okay.
Who happens to have had his skin implanted with nano machines so that it hardens upon impact. And he's shouting about the military industrial complex and 9/11 and Iraq and Afghanistan, and it's just insane and glorious as only Hideo Kojima ever can be. But no, wonderful combat system. It's Platinum.
Well, I kind of want. I almost think we need to do a separate podcast or like an offshoot of Stand Topic after E3.
Okay.
I think this year is going to be really significant.
I'll have literally nothing to contribute.
Well, maybe
No.
maybe we'll bring in a different third or something.
Ouch.
No, that's fine.
No, because
I will admit there are one or two things I don't know about.
there are a lot of games that especially now that you have the current gen, I don't even know if they're the current gens now with what Xbox is doing.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, Xbox is stepping up their game big time. And even Sony made a pro version of the PS4. So can my 3-year-old PS4 be outmoded already?
Yeah.
And
it's
damn it.
Yeah. Don't even want to get into that. I bought a PS4 a few months ago and then decided to buy a new TV. Because the prices have come down so much, I bought a 4K TV. Now I don't have a Pro, so I can't play in 4K.
Yeah.
And it's like, I already feel ripped off, and I bought it 3 years after launch.
No, but this year I think there are a lot of games that, because now you're in the market for these games and you're actually interested in like where you should put your dollar. Because I think you're a lot like me. You're going to stick with a game for a while.
Yeah, one game at a time. I
right.
Kind of Rain Man that way.
Yeah.
And in other ways.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's knock over the toothpicks. How many?
I missed a Whopper.
But not only are you in the market, there are a lot of titles coming that I think are really right up your alley. This Marvel Heroes Omega is...
That sounds perfect for me.
They could kill you.
Literally?
No, just drain all your free time.
Well, you hear about people in South Korea or whatever who are playing MMOs and die in front of their computers from dehydration or whatever. If they actually successfully make an MMO that's as addictive as World of Warcraft and as Marvel themed.
Oh God! Yeah,
you could end up dead in front of your PS4.
All I need is a pocket pussy and.
Wow. We gave up on family friendly so long ago. I can't even see it on the horizon.
Yeah, and for the record, James was the first one to drop the F-bomb on this podcast.
Yeah. I'm late to the party.
You could have told me to edit it out. We would have gone in a different direction.
So yeah, I'm really stoked for E3. Like my goals are pretty far ahead. Like obviously, I'm stoked about Sunday. The Grand Prix of Monaco, Indy 500, World 600. Love those three races, especially the Indy 500. It's going to be the 101st running. You're going to have an active Formula One driver in the field for the first time since the 1970s. That's huge. And Andy has pace. Fernando Alonso has been fast. He's going to hold his own. I don't know if he can challenge for the win, but he has been consistently in the top 6, 7 throughout the month of May. That's exciting. But down the road, I'm really looking forward to E3 and obviously the Sailing 6 Hours at the Glen at Watkins Glen International. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite weekends of the year. That is 4 days of 5 different classes or 5 different series of sports cars on the same track. And it's unlike anything else any other race venue on this side of the planet offers. So those are my big things going forward. What are you guys really looking forward to in the next week or so?
So something popped up on my radar late this week. A trailer dropped for a Netflix original animated series based on Castlevania.
Yes, I saw that.
Which looks awesome. I'm in already. But Chris, I don't believe you've played Castlevania.
I mean, I played the originals.
Yeah, but not anything relatively recent.
No, the last time I played Castlevania, it was on a cartridge.
Yeah. But did you see who's writing it?
I did not. Who's writing it?
Warren Ellis.
Get out.
Warren Ellis.
Really?
Yes.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm totally in. I did not see. All I saw was this like teaser GIF. It's pronounced GIF.
GIF. Please write in. Please write in and tell Chris
Peanut butter is pronounced GIF. It's a GIF.
Okay, listeners, help us out. You can email us at stayontopic111@gmail. You can hit me up on Twitter at Guiltastrophe or Bob
at Bob Ricotta
or James
at PostJam9.
How is it pronounced? Is it pronounced GIF?
With the hard Celtic
G, or GIF as the inventor intended?
or chith,
or
the Hebrew
or the
chith.
Yiddish version.
But no, I wasn't sure you'd be interested, and I
Just need an orange slice.
oh,
A blood orange slice.
because that's how we roll.
Right?
Wasn't sure you'd be interested in that, and I saw Warren Ellis. And for our readers who are not familiar,
Our readers?
our listeners,
He's
sorry,
a newspaper man.
I'm a print guy. I apologize. Our listeners who are not familiar, Warren Ellis, comic book writer, known for work on Astonishing X-Men, some other books. Most famously, he's known for writing the Iron Man Extremis run, which is one of the greatest runs of Iron Man.
It is.
if not the greatest. It's in some ways what they based Iron Man 3 on.
It's almost entirely what they base IM3 on, as we know it. But it's probably second to Armor Wars, which, God, I hope they get to someday in the movies, because Armor Wars is such a cool concept. But yeah, I mean, Warren Ellis writing a Castlevania thing, my 1980s self is just kind of losing its shit right now.
Yeah. And it's funny, that dropped first as a Spanish language trailer, and it was
Really?
it was the next day before I saw it in English.
Huh. Well, I see. This is why we do the podcast, for teachable moments like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another teachable moment, we've polished off a bottle of vodka.
Yes.
So we need to run to the liquor store
Which are all closed, so
We
we,
need to-
have to go to the bar.
or throw a brick through the...
Yeah.
It is Glass Fest. It'd be hard to pin it on any one person.
Sure. It's like Mardi Gras for Corning.
It is. For our listeners, Glass Fest, we live in a town that's run by a company that makes glass.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead and explain this.
Yeah. And Glass Fest is our Mardi Gras, which is basically we get cover bands. Like we don't get real bands. We get like Fleetwood Mac, the cover band.
So to go a little deeper than that, for a long time...
Oh yes, let's go deeper than
Oh,
that.
fuck you. Now we're getting surly. That's what vodka does to us. For a long time, the LPGA had a stop in Corning. They decided at one point that it was too costly, and they lost their sponsors, and they pulled out of Corning. So Corning decided to supplement the LPGA with Glassfest, a celebrations of all things glass. So it's a cool thing.
How many towns? Not a lot of towns do this kind of thing, so it's very cool.
It's a cool thing. It's a lot of fun. Vendors, food trucks, there's concerts, there's demonstrations, there's hot glass. So it's, for a city of 13,000, it's not a bad thing. But anyway, it sounds lame to anybody not in Corning, but it's the best we got.
And like people from Ithaca actually come here for a change, which is weird.
I'm letting you guys know that however you decide to end your discussion of Glassfest is how this show is ending.
I think we're done.